basic idea is Peter Gabriel and an orchestra without a band.
No drums, no guitars. That was the remit, wasn't it?
That was it. No drums, no guitars, no rock musicianship. We have a lot of video content in the show, and we tried to not make it anything like a classical rock show in any way.
There are cameras, but not really cut and directed and mixed, in the way that maybe a normal show would. I mean, it's Peter Gabriel. You'd expect it to be a little bit strange. So we use all kinds of, some regular cameras, some non-so-regular cameras, a radio-controlled car, because it's a spy tank, and it's controlled with an iPad or your iPhone, and it's plugged into lots of different kinds of bits of string and electronic boxes, and ultimately it goes up onto the video screens for a song called Intruder. And it's absolutely perfect for Intruder, because Intruder's all about somebody breaking into your house in the middle of the night and rifling through your Y-fronts and your bras, and this kind of conveys that sort of motion and sensibility perfectly. And it's controlled by one of Peter's technicians off stage via an iPad. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Relatively simple sort of video mixing desk here, and lots of nice sort of touch screen effects, or a cutting device on this side. But relatively standard in terms of preview sizes and so on. Trigger all my effect memories using these, or that. Here's the iPad that we use. This is my iPad that I use for a song called Signal to Noise, which is another effect that we use, which sort of explodes the picture. So we take a live camera feed, but with a bit of bespoke programming, I can use a slider, just a touchscreen slider on my iPad, and it sort of re-renders live the picture, and it makes it explode. It's a fantastic effect. So that's for a song called Signal to Noise, and that's the point really, is that every song has a different flavour, a different feel, a different colour. And then moving on from that, I've got a bowl of sand over here for not for Signal to Noise, for Rhythm of the Heat. So this sand goes on top of the television. So listen, come with me and I'll show you how it's kind of done. Right. So imagine there to be a live picture in this art monitor, which I'll switch for you now. Okay. Actually, let me do this. Okay, so there's a live picture of the piano being played there, but if you imagine that to be a big picture of Peter's live singing head, what we do is stick that on there. This camera goes over the top of it, like this, and you can see just there what it looks like. Voila. Okay. So that sits. That goes like that, and then I get one of these very high-tech blowing devices. I think they're called a straw in some countries. Here it is. Get one of these, right? Place it in my mouth and go like this. So if you watch that, the picture over there on your right. This is what we do.
Now, of course, that's something you could do with a computer, and you could write that dissolve, and you can animate it, and it could be the same every day.
Yes.
But it wouldn't be the same effect. It wouldn't work as well. It's great. It's chaos. It's clever. It works beautifully.
And it's a lot of fun too. But yeah, Rob's right. Of course, you could sort of replicate that digitally, but it wouldn't look like you meant it. It wouldn't look like it came from the heart every night. And that's the beauty, of course, of using live cameras. For digging in the dirt, we use a lot of this saran wrap, cling film, and I wrap it around these monitors tightly, and then use these scissors. We cut all the saran wrap and all the cling film off, and again, the whole point is you're digging into the picture to try and get to a live picture of Peter underneath on the on the TV monitor, and then that's hence why the rubber gloves. And so everything is seen underneath this camera, so it films everything that's happening live again, with the scissors and the cutting and the, you know, the fake blood in the form of food dye. That's cake dye. You know, this is how we get close-ups. This is how we develop. This is our close-up device. It's a €1 magnifying glass. And then finally, you know, I scribble him all out, like, you know, I was some mad kind of dirty protester, scribble them all out. So I can actually, I've been given this monitor to destroy by the video company that supplies with the equipment. So eventually, you know, on the last night, which will be in this case on Poland, I'll stab it to the point where it's the monitor will never come back to life ever again. That's probably the best show. So that's rhythm, that's digging. Just monitors, you know, you can make little, you know, sculptures of these monitors. I love stuff like this. You can make little sculptures and igloos and houses with with all these different kind of monitors, and you can, you know, make a little house of it. And of course, the point is that, you know, you always see a close up of Peter's head in there, so it's just, you know, repeats. It's a little bit Andy Warhol. It's a little bit sort of Mondrian, but mostly it's us. With influences from the art world. And then what else do we do? I don't know, you know, just, I mean, the great thing when I go out on my days off, we go to, like, what, you know, the €1 or the pound shops, and we find things that look good when you put them inside a bowl or a lasagna dish, and then you just dig down into it, just keep digging down, and that's obviously the sentiment behind digging in the dirt. And you're always trying to get to Peter, and ultimately Peter's always at the end of the rainbow, or at the end of the, you know, inside the monitor, and you just can't get at him, and that sort of gives that feeling of claustrophobia, anxiety, nervousness, and of course this looks fantastic on the screens. And then Red Rain is a bit of very high-tech NASA-developed perspex with a couple more of these wonderful monitors clamped together, one on top of the other. You see they're in a portrait fashion because of the screens on the either side and on stage are portrait as well. So everything has to be in that long strip rather than DVing it. You know, I always prefer to do things naturally portrait rather than just squashing things digitally. So then, of course, picture of Peter on the monitors. Red Rain. And of course, seen sort of naked like this, it doesn't look very impressive. But once you framed it, you know, with an appropriately lensed mini cam, it looks great. Just looks like, you know, there's a windscreen with water coming down it. Add a bit more of the fake blood. Red Rain. We've got a load of mini cams on stage which I attach to the instruments, which is pretty rad in itself because you don't expect very expensive cellos and Steinway pianos to have cameras attached inside them and on them for that sort of first-person feel. And one camera in the pit as well, which looks after the backing vocals and, you know, various other things. And I think that's about it. Oh, and a camera in the roof, which comes down on a chain, comes down for Salisbury Hill, and then that is we nickname it the Pinata Cam, and that's for Peter to kind of interact with, hold, you know, sing into, and also to throw out to the crowd because it's on a dangling chain. He can throw it out to the crowd, catch it, walk around with it like this, and he can sort of film it himself.
Lighting is very simple, it's very blocky. Yeah, I think it works very well. We have 4 screens on stage, one of which moves and becomes a curtain behind which the orchestra arrive and depart. Generally, the exciting stuff is done with video. We have a few little tricks up our sleeve lighting-wise, but it's generally video. I run all the on-stage screens, and I take camera inputs from Blue for those. Neville runs the side screens, and he again takes stuff from Blue for those, and looks after all of our technology. I use a Jan's Vista. I've been using them for about 5 or 6 years. 6 years now. It's very small, and I like it because I don't have to remember any channel numbers, because I can touch things on the screen and tell them to go blue, which is all I ever want to do. And that really is it. That's the reason why we use this small thing here. And runs this size show of this size very well. We're using on this leg of the tour a combination of Roby 2500 spots and Mac 2K washes and VL 3500 washes as well, I think. Doesn't really matter. Moving lights are moving lights. Really doesn't matter. And the screen we're using is Creative Technology Flyer 18, I believe. And the idea behind it, Peter's very involved in putting things together, and he and I came up with the layout of the screens, and we took it from there, really. There need to be a lot of lights up there. We've got 60 people on stage, and we kind of want to see them all.
The sheer fact you have so many inputs open, especially in a room like this. We were in a much drier room the last couple of days, so you can hear more what you're doing. Less gets back into the microphones. And in a room like this, so much gets back into the mics, and you just hear that bloom all the time. And obviously, feedback is a major issue. It's something you have to control, which is inevitable with that many open mics. And we mic it, we loose mic all the strings as well as close miking them, so we have the choice to be flexible in how we deal with them. Yeah, it's constant compromise and juggling, really. Sherps is CMC 5, MK4 is my sort of favourite standard mic. It's a great sounding mic and it works with everything, so it's easy. It gives you a nice flat start. We have DPA 1046s or 1066s on the high strings, and then Schertler Dyne C's on the cello and Dyne B's on the basses, as well as we actually got some DPA 4099s on the cellos and basses as well, which we put in for recording because we record it all to Pro Tools every day. So we're spoiled for choice with the low strings. And then there's some MKH 40s and 50s on the woodwind, but that's pretty well, the rest of it is pretty well Sherps. Well, I have an overview screen, which is an awful lot to look at and quite hard to take things in, but it's good for spotting a microphone that's cracking up and needs to be identified quickly. But otherwise, everything's in banks. I mean, it's laid out so that these are the Sherps for the first and seconds here, and then you carry on the DPAs for the first, the DPAs for the violas. DPAs, well, all the bass mics are here together, so you got the Sherps, the Schertlers, and the DPAs. And then all the brass is all together, so you just have to know how to get to the banks quickly and grab things. And it's more over this side, viola, Sherps, cello, Sherps, second violin, DPAs, cello, Schertlers and DPAs, woodwind, and then percussion, piano, and so on, and then the last one's vocals. There's no other console that can handle that many inputs. I think we're 112, we're full at the moment. Well, in terms of input racks, when we started we were 120, I think, because the orchestra's reduced slightly now. But there's no other console that would do it. There would have been an option to submix, but it's nice to have it all in one place. And the way it works, the way the board is configured, it's quite easy to handle that many inputs. We've used, it's been K1 most of the time, and a few places we've visited and used other PAs, and we had some outline GTO for one of the little tours we did. But the K1 it's a great system. One of the things you struggle with is getting warmth in an orchestra, not making it sound scratchy and hard. And the K1's, it's pretty big in the bottom end and lends itself nicely to it.
There's there's about 45 people on stage that I look after, and we separate them into each sections. So I do a mix for each section, and then I look after the conductor, the backing singers and the piano player as well. The orchestra are on an in-ear system, which is a hardwired system, and everybody else are on wireless Sennheiser in-ear systems. My console's a PM5D, which we've been using for 2 years now. Because there's so many songs involved in this show, we've saved scenes on each one, so we're kind of going to finish the whole thing with it. Basically, everybody wants to hear a different thing so they can play their part. For instance, each section will probably hear quite a lot of themselves, and we have a click so everybody can stay in time. Some people want lots of Peter's vocals, some people don't want any vocals. It's just individual requirements, basically.